Hello, my dear students. Let's do geography today. The name of your chapter is Inside the Earth. I have divided the chapter into two parts. Part 1, I will be talking about the structure of the earth, that is the crust, core, mantle. Part 2, I will be talking about the materials of the earth crust, that is minerals, rocks and ores. So let's begin the chapter Inside the Earth, Part 1, Structure of the Earth. Right. Now, in your sixth grade, you've learnt about various movements on the earth: rotation, revolution, seasons, how day and night is there. But in grade 7, we need to go little bit farther. We need to understand what is inside our earth. Now, our earth is constantly undergoing changes, but it is just impossible to obtain information about the interior of the crust. Why? Because the temperatures are very high. The heat increases at the rate of 1 degree for every 30 to 35 meter of descent. That means as we go 30 to 35 meter down inside the earth, the heat increases at the rate of 1 degree. So then, how do we gather information? Now, there are two things which help us to gather information about the interior of the crust. One, the density of the material. Two, magnitude of the earth waves. Now, the density of the rock material, its thickness and pressure increases with depth. So, greater the density, greater would be its depth. And the magnitude of the earth waves. Now, as we all know, that the seismic waves from the earth pass through the earth from the earth, the seismic waves from the earthquake pass through the earth. Now, these contain vital information, very important information about the internal structure of the earth. Now, how are these waves measured? They are measured by a special instrument known as seismometer, and it records them in the series of zigzags. And that is how we come to know that what is happening in the interior of the crust. So moving on to the main part of the topic, which is the structure of the earth. Now the scientists have divided earth into three layers of varying thickness. Now sometimes we always wonder that maybe these three layers of the earth have similar thickness, but you need to understand that these three layers, that is crust, which is the outermost part of the earth, core, which is the innermost part of the earth, mantle, which lies in between, are of varying thickness. Now, just to explain these three layers of the earth, I will be talking about a very simple example, which is the everyday egg that we eat. Now, if you look at the shell of the egg, now that shell is just like the crust of the earth. Now, shell is the outermost layer of the egg. The same way, crust is the outermost layer of the earth. And then when you go deep inside the egg, there is a yellow-like structure which is called as the yolk. And it is same like the core of the earth. And in between the crust and the core lies the egg white, that is the mantle. So these are how the layers of the earth are. Just a brief revision again. Deep inside the earth, the layer is called as core. The outermost layer is called as crust. In between crust and core, the middle layer, mantle. Right? So let's move on to the first layer, crust. Now, crust is the outermost layer and its thickness varies from 5 to 8 kilometers under the ocean floor to 35 kilometers under the continents. And different minerals compose these crust. Now, on the ocean crust, that means on the ocean floor, it is composed of sima. Now, the word sima means two minerals, silica and magnesium. And the layer of the crust on the continent comprises of two minerals, silica and alumina, known as Sial. Now, to learn this, always remember, we say ocean की एक सीमा होती है. So, oceanic crust has sima, silica and magnesium. Continental crust has Sial, silica and alumina. Now, though the thickness is lesser on the ocean floor, just about 5 to 8 kilometers, yet it is much more denser than the continental crust. The average density of the crust is 3 grams per cubic centimeter. Now, this is the unit in which we measure the density. Right. The second layer, which is the middle, the mantle. Now, this layer extends up to the depth of 2,900 kilometers below the crust. Now, this is made up of three materials: silica, magnesium, and iron. Mantle also consists of two layers, the upper mantle and the lower mantle. Upper mantle, the rocks are mostly in the semi-solid state, and the average temperature is 870 degrees centigrade. Lower mantle, here the rocks are in a solid state and the average temperature is 2200 degrees centigrade. The average density of the mantle is 3.5 gram to 5.5 gram per cubic centimeter. The next, the innermost layer of the earth is known as core, and its thickness extends up to 3,500 kilometers. Core again has two layers, the outer core and the inner core. The outer core, the average temperature is about 2200 degrees centigrade. The inner core, average temperature is about 5000 degrees centigrade. Now, this layer has important minerals, nickel and iron, and that is why it is named as NEEF. Now, the average density of the core is about 3.5 gram to 5.5 gram per cubic centimeter. Now, something more about the core. Now, the temperature in the core increases at the rate of 1 degree centigrade for every 32 meter of depth. Now, the temperature at the core is very, very high, extremely high. That is why the matter is found in a molten state, and this is known as magma. Where does the magma come from? The red magma erupts from the interiors of the earth through the volcano, and this red magma is known as lava. Now, core has two states. We talked about the outer core and the inner core. Now, outer core, I told you, is in a semi-solid state, but the inner core, which has a temperature of about 22 degrees centigrade, is in a solid state because of the pressure of the above layers. If it will be in a semi-solid state, then the whole core will crumble and the layers will not be formed as they are today. So always remember, the innermost part of the earth, that is the inner core, is in a solid state. Let me explain you with a simple diagram. Now, this is what we did. The outer core, we did the crust. The middle one, we did the mantle. Again, in the mantle also, there were two parts, upper and the lower mantle. Now, in the core, we did two parts. That is the solid inner core and semi-solid, that is liquid outer core. And as you can see from here, the inner core is solid because of the pressure of all these layers on this section or on this layer. Correct. Now, just to give you a brief description, we will just revise the whole thing in a form of a table. Now, let me just take help of my pointer so that I can explain you much nicely. All right. Now, we have done three layers. One, the crust. Then we did the middle layer, that is mantle. Then we did the innermost layer as the core. Now, crust, as I did with you, it has the thickness on the ocean floor is about 5 to 8 kilometers, whereas on the continental crust, it is about 35 kilometers. Mantle is made up of three minerals, that is iron, magnesium, and silica. Core is made up of two minerals, as I told you, NEEF, that is nickel and iron. Now, as we talk about the divisions, now the divisions in the crust is Sial, which is on the continents, Sima, which is on the ocean. Ocean की कोई सीमा नहीं है, so Sima, silica and magnesium, Sial, silica and aluminium. Now, the thickness I've done on the continents, it is 35 kilometers. On the oceanic floor, 5 to 8 kilometers. The average density is 3 gram and the temperature increases in crust about 1 degree centigrade for every 32 meters. Mantle, the divisions are upper mantle and lower mantle. It extends up to 2,900 kilometers and the density is 3.5 to 5.5 grams. The upper mantle has a temperature of 870 degrees centigrade. It is in a semi-solid state, whereas the lower mantle is in a solid state. It has a temperature of 22 degrees centigrade. Again, core we did was outer core and the inner core, and the thickness is about 3,500 kilometers. The average density is 3.5 grams to 5.5 grams. Again, the core has two parts, the outer core and the inner core. The outer core has 22 degrees centigrade temperature. The inner core has a 5,000 degree temperature. And temperature increases at the rate of 1 degree centigrade for every 32 meters. Okay, now it's a quick time for revision. We have learned the three layers. Let me see how much have you comprehended from that. Okay, question number 1. Name the three layers of the earth. That is crust, the outermost layer; mantle, the middle layer; core, the innermost layer. Heat increases at the rate of 1 degree for every 30 to 35 meter, or you can also write 32 meter if you want to be very specific for crust and core. What is the other name of crust? That is lithosphere. Question 4. What is the other name of mantle? That is mesosphere. What is the other name of core? Barosphere. What is the other name for core? That is barosphere. Question number 6. Dash is the outermost layer of the earth. Crust. Dash is the main mineral of the continental mass. Now, continental mass is Sial, so it is silica and alumina. Oceanic crust, as I told you, is ocean has a seema या सीमा नहीं है उसकी, तो oceanic crust is made up of seema, that is silica and magnesium. Question number 9. What is the average density of the crust? About 3 grams per cubic centimeter. Some more questions for you. Mantle extends up to 2,900 kilometers. Question number 11. Mantle is made up of which three materials? Iron, magnesium, and silica. Name the two layers of mantle, lower mantle and the upper mantle. What is the average density of mantle? 3.5 grams to 5.5 grams. Question number 14. The innermost layer extends up to, this layer I'm talking about is the core, that extends up to 3,500 kilometers. So this is question number 14. I'm talking about core. The innermost layer, that is the core, extends up to 3,500 kilometers. Name the two layers of core, outer core and the inner core. Now, do you remember the temperatures of the same? Now, outer core had a temperature of 2,200 degrees centigrade and the inner core has a temperature of 5,000 degrees centigrade. Question number 16. What is the average density of core? That is 3.5 grams to 5.5 gram. Now, what is magma? Magma. Now, this is an important question because sometimes you are asked about this. I will just mark here. Right. Now, magma is the molten or the semi-molten material found in the core. Question number 18. What erupts from the interior of the earth through the volcano? That is lava. Why is the inner core in a solid state? That is due to the pressure of the above layers. Now, the inner core can never be in a semi-solid state because there is so much of pressure on the innermost layer, and especially the second part of the innermost layer, which is core, and the other part was the inner core. So that is why it is in a solid state. Some more questions now. What is the temperature? We did that. Inner core, the temperature is 5,000 degrees centigrade. The outer core, the temperature is 2,200 degrees centigrade. Neef is related to which layer? That is to core, and it is nickel and iron. Seema and Sial is related to which layer of the earth? That is crust. Seema is on the oceanic crust. Sial is on the continental crust. Now, how is crust formed? Crust is formed by a solid material called rocks. Now, just to give you a brief revision once again, what we have done is we have done the three layers, that is your crust, we did mantle, we did core, right? So crust has two parts, seema and sial. The Sial is on the continents, the Sima is on the ocean, the thickness is 8 to 35. Mantle, upper mantle, lower mantle, extends up to 2900 kilometers. It is composed of silica, magnesium, and iron. Core, outer core, and inner core extends up to 3500 kilometers, and it has neef, nickel, and iron. So this is all in your part 1 of the chapter. I hope you have understood, but I would recommend that you must see this video about 2 to 3 times to have a complete understanding of this part of the chapter. And once you have done the chapter, try to answer it yourself without looking into the answers of the questions, right? So this is for this video. I hope you like this video. I am eagerly waiting for your comments, because the bad or good comments will make your videos even more nicer, because the bad comments will inspire me to work much more harder. The good comments will motivate me. So see you soon in my second part of the video, right? So any queries you have, please let me know. Sorry.